I had waited 40 years for that glass of champagne. Not for the bubbles. Not for the applause. For what it meant, I had just sold my company for $23 million. No inheritance. No shortcuts. Just decades of missed dinners, sleepless nights, and a belief that if I kept going long enough, something would eventually break in my favor. That night, it did. The retirement party was held in a private room overlooking the river. Soft lights, white tablecloths, people who suddenly remembered my name after years of barely returning my calls. My son stood close to his wife, my daughter-in-law, beautiful, polished, smiling the way people do when they're already spending money that isn't theirs yet. I noticed her watching me more than the view, watching my hands, my glass, my movements. At first, I thought it was nerves. I was wrong. The server poured champagne for the toast. Crystal flutes, pale gold liquid catching the light. Applause started early. Someone clinked a fork against a plate. Speech. Speech. I stood up slowly, and that's when I saw it. My daughter-in-law leaned forward. Just slightly, her hand moved fast, too fast to be casual. Something small slipped from her fingers into my glass. Clear, silent, gone. She straightened up immediately, smiled, sat back down. No one else saw it. Or maybe they didn't want to. My heart didn't race. It stopped, then restarted slower, sharper. I looked around the table. My son was laughing at a joke someone told. Her mother sat 2 seats away, holding her own untouched glass. Everyone was relaxed, celebrating me, planning without me. In moments like that, panic is a choice. So is clarity. I picked up my glass, held it up as if testing the weight. Then I did something that probably saved my life. I leaned toward my daughter-in-law's mother, smiled warmly, and whispered, "Let's switch. Mine looks a little flat." She laughed. "Oh, of course," she said, happy to be included. She slid her glass toward me. I slid mine toward her. No one noticed. Why would they? Families trust faces they see at holidays. The room quieted. All eyes turned to me. I raised the glass. "To the end of one chapter," I began, steady, "and the beginning of another." Applause erupted. Music swelled. And within minutes, I saw it. Her mother's smile faltered. Her hand trembled. Her eyes lost focus. She swayed in her chair. And that was when I knew whatever had been meant for me was never just a joke. At first, people thought her mother was just overwhelmed. Too much champagne. Too much excitement. A long evening catching up. That's what they told themselves. "She's probably dizzy," someone said with a nervous laugh. But I knew better. I was watching her the way you watch a clock, when you're waiting for something you hoped would never happen. Her fingers loosened around the stem of the glass. It slipped, shattered against the floor. The sound cut through the music like a gunshot. She tried to speak. Nothing came out. Her lips moved, but her eyes were already drifting unfocused, frightened, confused. "Mom," my daughter-in-law said, standing up too quickly. Her smile was gone now. Completely. Her mother slumped sideways in her chair. Someone screamed. Another guest rushed forward, knocking over a table. The band stopped playing mid-note. "Call an ambulance," someone shouted. The server froze, staring at the broken glass on the floor. My son turned pale. "What's happening?" he asked no one in particular. I remained standing, glass still in my hand, untouched. This was the moment when years of building a company helped me more than any instinct ever could. Crisis strips people down. It shows you who plans and who panics. My daughter-in-law panicked. She knelt beside her mother, shaking her shoulders too hard. "Mom, wake up! Wake up!" Her voice was high, fractured. Not grief, fear. I stepped forward calmly. "Don't move her," I said. "She's breathing, but barely." Everyone looked at me. Someone obeyed immediately. Authority doesn't come from volume. It comes from certainty. The paramedics arrived fast. Too fast for comfort. They asked questions. What did she drink? How long ago? Any allergies? I watched my daughter-in-law answer. Too quickly. Too vague. Just champagne, she said. Only a sip. I noticed something else then. Her hands were shaking, and she kept looking at my glass, the one still in my hand. One of the paramedics turned to me. Sir, did you drink any of yours? No, I said. I switched glasses. Silence. Why? He asked. I met his eyes. Because I saw something added to mine. The room stopped breathing. My daughter-in-law froze. Her mother was wheeled out, unconscious but alive. And suddenly, every celebration detail, the flowers, the lights, the view, felt obscene. My son stared at his wife. You did what? He whispered. She shook her head violently. No, I didn't. He's confused. He's tired. Tired. I placed my untouched glass carefully on the table. Please don't touch that, I said to no one in particular. The paramedic nodded. Evidence. I turned to my son. Sit down, I said. You're about to hear something you don't want to believe. Police arrived before dessert. They always do when hospitals use certain words. Suspected poisoning. Unknown substance. Inkton unclear. I answered every question calmly. Time. Position. Movement. Years of board meetings had taught me how to speak without excess. My daughter-in-law said nothing. Not because she was innocent. Because she was calculating. As they escorted her mother's purse out for inspection, I caught her looking at me. Not with anger. With realization. She understood something then. That she hadn't just failed. She had revealed herself. And I hadn't even started asking questions yet. They moved us to a smaller room. White walls. Bad coffee. Chairs placed too close together, as if proximity might force honesty. The police were calm at first. Polite. People are always polite before facts arrive. They asked routine questions. Who poured the drinks? Who touched the glasses? Who sat where? I answered slowly, precisely. I didn't embellish. I didn't accuse. I described. My daughter-in-law sat across from me, arms folded tight, eyes fixed on the table as if she could stare a hole through it and disappear. Min son satt besid her, silent. Not defensive, confused. That was worse. A young officer entered with a small evidence bag. Inside it, the flute. My flute. Lab ran a rapid screen, he said. Preliminary results are back. He paused, long enough for the room to lean forward. Sedative, he continued. Fast-acting, colorless, odorless, not lethal at low doses. Not lethal. That word is dangerous. It invites excuses. It's often used for, he went on, choosing his words carefully, temporary incapacitation. I nodded. My daughter-in-law didn't. That doesn't mean anything, she blurted out. Too fast. Too loud. Everyone looked at her. The officer tilted his head. Ma'am, he said, I haven't asked you a question yet. Silence fell like a dropped curtain. She swallowed. I just mean people slip. Things happen. Maybe it was meant as a joke. A joke. I leaned back in my chair. This wasn't a joke, I said quietly. It was a plan. She snapped her head toward me. You don't know that. I met her gaze. You're right, I said. But you do. The officer turned to her. Have you ever purchased sedatives like this? He asked. No, she said immediately. Another mistake. Then you won't mind if we check, he replied calmly. Her eyes flicked just once to her purse. The room noticed. The second officer stood. Ma'am, he said, may we see your bag? She hesitated. Not long, but long enough. When she handed it over, she was already shaking. They didn't find a bottle. They found a receipt, folded, crumpled. dated 2 days earlier. The officer read it silently, then looked up. Pharmacy on Westbrook, he said. Under your name. She laughed. A strange, broken sound. I have anxiety, she said. That proves nothing. The officer nodded. Then you'll understand why we're asking how a measured dose from your prescription ended up in a glass that wasn't yours. My son stood up. Stop, he said. Just stop. He turned to her. Tell me, he said quietly. Right now. She opened her mouth, closed it, then looked at me. Not with hatred, with calculation. I panicked, she said finally. I didn't think it would go this far. The words hung there, heavy. Damning. Go this far? The officer repeated. She realized too late what she'd said. I exhaled slowly. This was the moment that matters. Not the poison. Not the money. The choice. You meant to make me collapse, I said. At my own party. She didn't answer. She didn't have to. The officer stood. Ma'am, he said, we're going to need you to come with us. My son stared at the floor, then at me, then back at her. I trusted you, he said. She reached for him. He stepped back. As they led her away, she looked over her shoulder at me. Her eyes were wide, not angry, afraid, because she understood now what she'd really done. She hadn't just tried to drug a man. She had tried to shortcut her way into a future. And she had chosen the wrong glass. They let my daughter-in-law make one phone call. She didn't call my son. She called her lawyer. That told me everything. The officers stepped out, leaving the three of us alone in that small room. The silence was thick, pressed down by the weight of what had almost happened. My son finally looked at me. I don't understand, he said. Why would she do this? I didn't answer right away. Because the truth isn't always kind to the people who need it most. The detective returned with a folder. Here's what we're seeing, he said, laying papers on the table. The sedative dosage suggests intent to incapacitate for several hours. Not to harm, to remove. Remove. Such a polite word for erasure. Remove me from what? I asked. He glanced at my son. From decision-making, he said. From awareness. From control. My son's face drained of color. What control? He asked. The detective slid another document forward. Bank printouts. Emails. Drafts. She'd been researching trusts, he continued. Medical proxies. Temporary guardianship in cases of incapacity. Incapacity? The word people weaponize when they want power without permission. I closed my eyes. Not in shock. In recognition. She thought, the detective went on, that if you appeared confused or collapsed during the toast, it would justify immediate concern. Emergency authority. A narrative. A story. That's all it ever is. My son pushed back from the table. She wanted to make you look unwell, he said. On purpose. Yes, I replied quietly. In front of witnesses. I remembered her smile as I raised the glass. The way she watched me. Not with affection. With timing. The detective folded his hands. We'll need your statement, he said. And your consent to proceed. I nodded. Of course. He paused. Your cooperation will determine the charges, he added. Intent matters. Intent always matters. When the room emptied again, my son finally spoke. She was afraid you'd change the will, he said. It wasn't a question. I hadn't, I replied. But she didn't know that. He laughed once, short, bitter. She thought this was preventive. I met his eyes. People who plan like this always think they're ahead, I said. They forget about witnesses and chance. And you, he said softly, you switched the glasses. Yes. He swallowed. You saved your own life. I shook my head. I saved us from a lie that would have lasted forever. Outside, the party was over. Lights dimmed. Flowers abandoned. The river still moving, indifferent to our drama. My phone buzzed. A message from her mother's doctor. She's stable. She'll recover. Relief washed through me, unexpected and heavy. I didn't want her harmed. I wanted the truth. That night, alone in my office, I opened my laptop and reviewed documents I hadn't planned to touch yet. Estate drafts. Protections. Names? I didn't change anything. Not yet. Because justice shouldn't be rushed. And mercy, when it exists, should be chosen, not forced by shock. I poured myself a glass of water, held it up to the light. Clear. Untouched. The toast I never finished echoed in my mind. To the end of one chapter. I realized then that the chapter hadn't ended at all. It had split. One path toward accountability, another toward disappearance. And I was about to decide which one she would walk. The lawyers arrived before the sun did. That's how I knew this wasn't going to fade quietly. By morning, my office was filled with folders and low voices. The party felt like it had happened in another lifetime. Music cut short, champagne left untouched, applause replaced by procedure. My son sat across from me, hands wrapped around a mug he hadn't sipped from once. He looked older. Not wiser yet, just older. Her attorney spoke first. Careful words. Conditional phrases. A tone designed to soften intent. My client never intended harm, he said. She panicked. She made a terrible decision under stress. Stress? I had lived under stress for 40 years. I had never drugged anyone. She was afraid, he continued, that changes to the estate would leave her family vulnerable. I leaned back. So she decided to make me vulnerable first, I said. Silence followed. The district attorney cut in. The issue isn't fear, she said flatly. It's premeditation. She slid photographs across the table. Receipts. Search histories. Messages deleted, but not erased. She researched sedatives, the DA continued. She researched dosages. She researched guardianship laws. She looked directly at my son. She was planning a narrative. My son closed his eyes. For a long moment, I thought he might cry. Instead, he spoke. How long? He asked quietly. The DA glanced at her notes. At least 6 weeks, she said. 6 weeks. Of smiles. Of dinners. Of trust. He turned to me then. I didn't see it, he said. I should have. You weren't supposed to, I replied gently. That was part of the plan. Her attorney tried again. If we can come to an understanding, he said. Perhaps this doesn't need to proceed publicly. Publicly? There it was. Reputation before responsibility. I looked at my son. This was the moment. The one no parent prepares for. I won't protect a lie, I said calmly. And I won't hide what was done to me. The attorney nodded once. He understood. Charges were filed that afternoon. Not the maximum, not the minimum. Enough to ensure the truth would be documented. When my son visited her that evening, he went alone. I didn't ask what they said. I didn't need to. He came back changed. She admitted it, he said quietly. Not everything, but enough. I nodded. That's usually how truth comes out, I said. In pieces. What do I do now? He asked. I thought carefully before answering. You stop standing in the middle, I said. And you stand somewhere honest. He nodded slowly. I'm filing for separation, he said. I felt something loosen in my chest. Not relief. Alignment. That night, I finally changed the documents. Not out of anger. Out of accuracy. I adjusted roles. Removed access. Clarified boundaries. Not to punish, to protect. As I signed the last page, I thought of the glass. How close it had come. How easy it would have been to trust the wrong smile. Greed always thinks it's invisible, until it isn't. I slept deeply for the first time in weeks, because the danger had passed, and the truth finally had nowhere left to hide. The trial didn't arrive with drama. It arrived with schedules, dates, deadlines, A quiet understanding that once something enters the record, it never truly leaves. For weeks, my name stayed out of the news. That wasn't an accident. My lawyers worked carefully, deliberately, keeping things procedural, not sensational. There was no benefit in spectacle, not yet. But stories like this don't stay quiet forever. They leak. It started with whispers in professional circles, a canceled retirement party, an unexplained medical emergency, a sudden separation. People connect dots faster than they admit. One morning, my assistant knocked on my door. "There's a reporter on the line," she said. "He says he already knows." That was the moment I understood. Silence was no longer protection. It was surrender. I didn't rush to the phone. I sat back and thought about my whole life, about how often I'd stayed quiet to keep peace, how often silence had been mistaken for consent, how close it had come to costing me everything. "Tell him I'll give a statement," I said. One, written. We drafted it carefully. No names beyond what was already public. No accusations that weren't documented. No emotion, just fact. An incident occurred at a private event. Authorities investigated. Evidence supported charges. I cooperated fully. That was it. The article ran 2 days later. No headline screaming scandal, but enough. Enough for boardrooms to pause. Enough for investors to read carefully. Enough for people to stop pretending this was a misunderstanding. My son called that night. "I didn't want this to follow you," he said. "It already tried to end me," I replied. "This is lighter." He was quiet for a moment. Then, "I'm glad you spoke." Court dates were set. Her legal team tried again to negotiate. Reduced charges, private settlement, an apology letter, sealed in an envelope. I declined, not because I wanted revenge, because truth doesn't belong in envelopes. "She's afraid," her lawyer said during one meeting. "Her future is uncertain." I looked at him calmly. "So was mine," I said, while she watched. In the weeks before trial, I learned something unexpected. How many people had stories like mine? Emails came in, quiet messages. I was pushed aside too. They said I was confused. They tried to make me disappear. Men, women, older than me, younger than me. Power doesn't always look violent. Sometimes it looks like a smile in a glass raised at the right moment. The night before the trial, my son came over. We didn't talk about her. We talked about his childhood, about mistakes, about what courage actually looks like. "I keep thinking," he said, "if you hadn't switched the glasses." I finished the sentence for him. "You'd be explaining why I collapsed," I said, "instead of why she planned it." He nodded. The courtroom was smaller than I expected. No grandeur, just wood, flags, and people whose job it is to decide what truth is worth. She sat across the room. Not polished now, not confident. She didn't look at me. I didn't need her to. When it was my turn to testify, I stood slowly. I spoke clearly. I described what I saw, what I did, what happened next. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't dramatize. I didn't need to. Facts are heavy enough on their own. At one point, the prosecutor asked me a question I hadn't prepared for. "Why did you switch the glasses?" The room was very quiet. I thought for a moment. "Because," I said. I trusted my instincts more than my assumptions. That answer stayed with me. Because it wasn't just about that night. It was about a lifetime. The trial would continue. Verdicts take time. Consequences always do. But something essential had already happened. I had stopped being careful for the wrong people, and I had started being honest for myself. The verdict didn't come quickly. It never does when truth has layers. Between court days, life continued in fragments. Emails still arrived. Bills still needed signing. People still smiled at me as if nothing had almost happened. That was the strangest part. How easily the world keeps moving when your own timeline nearly ends. My daughter-in-law finally spoke publicly a week before closing arguments. Not in court. Online. It was a carefully written statement. Apologies without admission. Fear without accountability. Language polished by legal hands. I never intended harm. I was overwhelmed. Mistakes were made. Mistakes. As if sedatives fall from the sky into the wrong glass. The media picked it up immediately. Commentators debated intent. Psychologists weighed in on stress responses. Strangers argued about whether wealth changes families. None of them knew her. None of them had seen her eyes when she watched me lift that glass. My son called after the statement went live. "She shouldn't have done that," he said quietly. "No," I replied. "She needed to." "Why?" "Because now she's committed to a version of events she can't walk back." In court, the prosecution presented the timeline. Not emotional. Chronological. Search histories. Purchase receipts. Deleted messages recovered. HP small. Together, devastating. Her attorney tried to reframe. She didn't want money, he said. She wanted security. The prosecutor didn't raise her voice. She wanted control, she replied. And she was willing to drug someone to get it. When it was her turn to speak, the room changed. She stood slowly. No makeup, no smile, no performance, just a woman finally out of exits. "I didn't think he'd be hurt," she said. "I thought he'd sleep, miss the toast, miss the moment, miss the moment. That was the truth. I was afraid he'd change everything," she continued. "That I'd lose what we were counting on. Counting on, not earning." I watched my son as she spoke. His face didn't harden. It aged. When the judge asked if she understood the consequences of her actions, she nodded. "Yes," she said. She didn't look at me. That too mattered. After she sat down, my lawyer leaned toward me. "You don't have to speak again," he whispered. I shook my head. "I want to," I said. I stood. Slowly, the room quieted in a way it hadn't before. "I built a company," I began, "by trusting people and verifying decisions." I paused. That night, I verified. "I'm not here because I want punishment," I continued. "I'm here because I want record. A record. So no one could rewrite this later. I don't hate her," I said calmly. "But I will not pretend this was confusion." I looked toward the bench. This was planning. The judge nodded once. He understood exactly what I was asking for. The verdict came 2 days later. Guilty? On the central charge. Reduced? On others. Measured? Precise. My son didn't cheer. He didn't cry. He closed his eyes and exhaled. Outside the courthouse, cameras waited. I gave no statement. I had already said what mattered. That night, alone in my office, I poured a glass of water, held it up to the light again. Clear. Safe. Mine. Forgiveness, I realized, isn't a decision you make in court. It's something you consider later, when the danger is gone and the truth has settled. And I wasn't there yet. Sentencing came quietly. No cameras inside. No speeches. Just consequences placed where they belonged. The judge didn't raise his voice. He didn't need to. He spoke about intent, about planning, about trust violated in a place meant for celebration. My daughter-in-law listened without expression. When the sentence was read, probation, restrictions, mandatory treatment, permanent record, she closed her eyes. Not in relief, in realization. This wasn't the ending she had imagined. It never is. Outside the courtroom, my son stood beside me, not as a shield. As a person choosing where to stand, "I don't know how to forgive this," he said quietly. "You don't have to yet," I replied. "Forgiveness isn't urgency, it's readiness." He nodded. Weeks passed. The world moved on. Markets shifted. Emails piled up. Life reasserted itself the way it always does. She tried to reach out once. A letter. Handwritten. Careful. I didn't open it. Not because I was afraid of the words. Because forgiveness isn't something you rush to collect. My son finalized the separation. No celebration. No drama. Just paperwork and resolve. He moved into a smaller place, learning what independence really costs. We rebuilt our relationship slowly. Coffee. Conversations without subtext. No money involved. That was the rule. One evening, months later, he asked something unexpected. "Do you regret inviting them to that party?" he asked. I thought about it. The lights, the river, the glass. No, I said. I regret trusting silence more than instinct. I finally opened the letter one quiet afternoon. It wasn't an excuse. It wasn't a plea. It was an acknowledgement. That surprised me. She wrote about fear, about envy, about believing control was the same as safety. I folded the letter and put it away. Not as closure, as data. Forgiveness, I realized, isn't absolution. It's distance without bitterness. It's remembering without rage. I wasn't ready to forgive her, but I was ready to stop carrying her. That night, I raised a glass. Not champagne, water to clarity, I said quietly. Because some lessons don't come from success. They come from the moment you realize you were never meant to drink that toast. I didn't throw another party. People expected one, some kind of triumphant dinner, a celebration of survival, a closing chapter wrapped in linen and applause. I declined. Survival doesn't need an audience. What changed after everything wasn't my schedule or my bank accounts. It was my internal math. For most of my life, I believed trust was proven by patience. That if you stayed long enough, quiet enough, generous enough, people would eventually reveal their best selves. That belief almost ended me. What I learned instead was simpler and harder. Trust is not the absence of suspicion. It's the presence of boundaries. I sold my company and stepped away from the role that had defined me for decades. But I didn't retire from myself. I became sharper, more selective, more honest about what my instincts had been telling me all along. My son and I rebuilt something real, not automatic, not untitled, chosen. We talk now about life, not money, about values, not plans. He doesn't ask me for help. He asks me for perspective. That difference matters. As for her, she moved out of our lives quietly. No dramatic exits. No forgiveness speeches. Just distance. Distance is sometimes the healthiest outcome. I don't hate her. I don't excuse her. I understand her, and that's enough to keep her far away. Sometimes people ask me how I knew to switch the glasses. They want a clever answer. Luck. Experience. Instinct. The truth is less flattering. I had noticed things before. Small moments. The way conversations paused when I entered. The way plans were made around me, not with me. The way my success felt less like pride to others and more like opportunity. That night, all of it aligned. I trusted the part of myself I had ignored too many times, and it saved me. Now, when I raise a glass, I check it not out of fear, but out of respect for my own life. And when I toast, I do it quietly. Not to endings, but to awareness. If there's one thing I wish I'd known earlier, it's this. You don't owe anyone access to you. Not because you're wealthy, not because you're kind, not because you're family. Access is earned. That night was meant to celebrate my past. Instead, it secured my future. And the toast I never finished? I'll say it now. To listening when something feels wrong. To choosing clarity over comfort. To never assuming love makes people harmless. I didn't drink the champagne, and I'm still here because of it.